from the movie They've Reached. This was released not too far ago. Director Silas Dahl is joining us, also with the co-actors Mary Madeline Rowe, Eden Cheddar Campbell, and Morgan Chandler, and maybe a visit from a relative of Morgan's. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. That's an inside joke. Anyway, thanks for joining us on Where the Scary Things Are. Silas, I got to start with you, my friend. Congratulations, first and foremost. I understand this was your first premiere directed film, your big film, right?
Yeah, yeah, it was quite uh, an adventure and very difficult, but it was really fun at the same time. So, um, yeah, so this was something to remember, you know.
Awesome. So I got to ask you, where did the story come from? I know that you wrote the screenplay and the story. Where did you get the idea to do this? I mean, it's so many elements to this. Obviously, there's this big wave of I think kind of like a Stranger Things, Goonies type thing going on right now with getting all these kids that are ready to fight back, and they're not the victims anymore. They're ready to fight back, and they're ready to get their hands dirty, and I love it. So where did the concept come from this?
Just growing up on the classics and watching John Carpenter a lot when I was younger, and going through Big Trouble in China, and then also watching Close Encounters from Their Kind, and just having a love and appreciation of the film and movies in general, and I was just really fortunate for my parents to kind of start me with specific movies when I was younger instead of falling into late like early 90s, and then moving forward from there they started me with 70s, late 70s, and then moved on from that point. So I was really excited to venture into this nostalgia, you know crazy fun adventure, horror adventure mystery. It was just a blast with our cast and crew. It was this is a long time coming. I've been really thinking about making something like this for a while. So it's just I guess, the perfect storm.
Well, you mentioned one of my favorite movies all time, Big Trouble in Little China. So
Yes, yes.
that is one of my, and then with Muse, my co-host here, that's kind of our jam there. Any Kurt Russell, John Carpenter combination.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about the casting. Obviously, we have a few of the cast members on right now. What were you looking for as far as bringing this cast together to make this film go?
Um, just we weren't. It was so interesting because the script, throughout the entire process, this script has changed so many times, and I'm sure you'll hear it from the actors. Even on the day of shooting one of scenes, we'll be like, well, can we change this? So there was at least 19 revisions of the script. um and when we're looking for actors, and Bry Troyer, co-writer and producer of the film and stuff, we and a mentor of mine, when we were really searching for, was people that would actors that would embody these characters, just and not have to do too much work, to just have fun and be yourself almost, and then bring a little spice to it. Bring it, add whoever they were in real life a little bit. I think that's what I'm always looking for, is their personality in real life, and not acting, and then what can they bring to this character, and make this character more well-rounded. And because there's a lot of I love ad-libbing, and I love improv, and I grew up, when I went to college, I did improv classes, and I love doing that. And so whenever an actor has an idea, I always say, let's explore that idea and see where that road takes us. As long as it doesn't, you know, stray too far off the beaten path. As long as you get from point A to point B. I was really impressed and happy with everyone's performance.
Well, I thought that the casting was great. I mean, there are so many different characters in this movie, from the sheriff to the librarian to uh, the paranormalist woman there. The I forgot her name, the actress there, but it was great. So I want to get into the actors here. So Eden, Morgan, and Mary Madeline. Uh, I got to start with you guys. First and foremost, great job with the movie. I loved you guys' characters. You guys had really good chemistry. Uh, Eden and Mary Madeline. I thought you guys were great as best friends in a sense. I got a couple questions before I moved on. And Morgan, obviously you're the quote unquote love interest here, and all you want to do is go to the dance at the end at the end of the movie, which you didn't get to see. So I'm going to start with Mary Madeline. Mary, when you accepted this role, what were you thinking reading into this script? Like, you're going to be the lead. This is a big deal.
I was thinking Jessica's just like me. Because at the time I felt like I could really relate to Jessica because we both really love science. We both were really smart and tough, and we had that small group of friends. And most of all, I was just really grateful to Silas and Bry that I was offered the role because I know it's a big undertaking to be the lead. But I'm just really grateful for the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, I thought you did a really good job. I thought you were really brave, a really strong character. And I'm sure I have so many questions, but I'm gonna wait till the other co-hosts ask. But I want to see what they capture, and I'll come back around. But with your interactions with Eden, I got to ask you something. Every time we saw you in most of the film, you're eating something. You got a corn dog, you got something, and I thought that was hilarious. I thought it was really cool, and then you have your signature hat. I thought that was badass. Um, there was a scene in the movie where you get a little gory, right? What
Yeah.
was that? What was that like seeing yourself? Kind of homage to. It reminded me of a scene in Poltergeist where he's kind of ripping into his face a little. It's one of the best scenes ever. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but what was that like seeing yourself on the big screen, kind of playing with your face a little bit?
Oh my gosh. I just sit down in this chair and our lovely makeup artist Hannah just like she's just working away as she always does. So like I know what she's gonna do, but it doesn't really feel real until you see it because I'm like, okay, I'll just like rip all this goo off my face. What's the big deal? And then I watch it and I'm like, oh my god, oh my gosh. That's the fun thing about making horror films is because you're on set, there's like a foam dummy in the corner, and it's like, oh, that's not that scary. But you watch it, and oh my gosh, I screamed multiple times. That's great.
Well, that actually leads me into my next question to Morgan. Morgan, you also have some scary scenes, and you're like in the thick of it at the end when we see the big crescendo here. What's going on? There's a lot of blood and stuff, man. Did you ever get grossed out or anything like that, or even scared on? Actually, that question for all three of you. Did you guys ever get scared on the set, starting with Morgan?
No, I never got scared on set. And it kind of filming this sort of ruined horror movies for me because now I used to like not be able to watch them, and now I'm like, oh, it's kind of comical almost because there was so many times where like we made this, just like Eden was saying, we made like this awesome, um, awesome visual out of, I mean, really like someone just barely off screen blowing, fake blood through a tube. Um, like for example, I don't want to spoil too much, but like there's a scene where I get choked by
Mm,
the demon,
yeah.
right? And I'm like supposed to be choked off my feet, and seriously, that's off screen. Uh, Taylor, the guy who played Alex Quinley, who just like super awesome guy, super fun, and he's off screen. He's got like this incredible, makeup done on his hand, and he's like choking me, and it's like there's total trust, like no real fear there, and it was just it was like a lot of fun to make and to film, and there was sort of because it was like all this creepy stuff that was just kind of goofy when we were on set, which was cool, that dichotomy in horror.
We did get scared one time
Oh,
with
oh, okay. Yes, this is a good story. I mean, that scene where you're talking about with Cheddar and she's ripping her face off, and then Jessica and Sam, we come in and we see that and we're like scared and we run away, right? Um, so Silas
and the camera crew, they could not get the reaction they wanted out of us. I guess we weren't doing the jump as well as they thought, and so on one take, I mean, we do that enter, we come in, and right as we come in, it's James and Silas, and they just scream so loud, and it causes us to like physically jump and scream and run away, and it was very genuine. I'm not sure if that's the one that made it in the final cut, because I don't think they warned our sound guy. But yes, that was a time, Mary, you're right, where we were genuinely scared.
Listen, I'm going to pass you guys on since there's so many of you. I can sit here and ask so many different questions, but I'm going to give it over to Muse, and she's got a couple questions for you guys. Go ahead, Muse.
Hey guys, I was going to say hi earlier, but I didn't want to jump into everybody's conversations. So I apologize for that. I was kind of quiet to start off with there. So I'm going to start off with, actually, this is probably a question all of you could answer. So just go ahead and jump in however you guys want to do it. But I was going to ask, starting, I guess we could start with Silas. What was the most challenging scene to film during the making of They Reach? And then the cast can go ahead and chime in with some of their most difficult moments of performing certain scenes.
Trying to think. There's a lot of them. The whole movie.
Right.
No, I was kidding. No, it was just a big the set was such a big playground. It was so fun. Man. Ooh, this is a tough one. There's anytime there's scares, I'm trying to think. Most scares were usually challenged. You know what? The scene where we're in the old gymnasium with the wooden floors and the bleachers, that was a bit of a challenge just because of we had these big, really massive bay windows up top that the daylight was shifting constantly, so it was beaming down and always kind of shifting, just kind of where we were. We had to really mind where the lighting was, and so that was a challenge. And then anytime when we have extras, just making sure everyone knows where they're going, and doing the doppelganger, the double scene with Mary Madeline. That was a little bit of challenge there, a little camera trickery, I guess. And then night scenes. A lot of the night scenes were really cold because we decided to film it during like winter, so that was that was not smart. And so we had propane heaters all over the place usually, and every time we would say cut, the kiddos would run off to the propane heaters or like hop in a heated van or car or something. So that was a challenge. I even believe the first day we were on set, it was super cold. The first day that the trio was on set together, I remember it was in Joel Deerfield's barn, which he's our prop master and helped with locations. But we were in his barn, and it was the control center for the kids, and it was so cold that day. You could see their breath. It was so visible. Just even when I was trying to like edit it out a little bit, but I was like, all right, I can't edit that out. Like it's just gonna be a cold day, and it's supposed to be during fall, so oh well. So you could see like plumes of like just massive, heat coming out of when they're breathing, and so that was challenging. That was a really long answer.
That's okay. That's okay. I asked it, and you know what? I wanted to know. So definitely, I can see. Weather could definitely be probably one of the most troublesome things. And honestly, I kind of pictured something like this happening in fall, and I honestly didn't notice that. So I mean, if you're worried about that, I can tell you it came out fantastic, and I kind of felt like it was kind of fall, anyways. Kind of like how they were dressed and things like that. You could kind of tell it was, fall. Kind of like maybe around October, November.
Right.
So I get that. So going around to the cast now, Mary Madeline, what was your most challenging scene during the filming?
Probably the last day of filming altogether, just because I was so emotionally distraught because I knew it was the last day of filming, and I had created such bonds with the cast and the crew, and we all had always had such a good time, and it was such a lively environment on set every day that I was really upset the last day because I didn't want this great thing that we had to end.
Oh, I could see that. I could definitely see that. I can relate to that, honestly. And I related to your character as well. I loved that Jessica was not like every other, maybe like teenage girl or whatever the stereotypes are, around young teenage girls and things like that. I saw the poster of Ripley on the wall from Alien. I was like, yes, I love her character. You're fantastic. I loved you to death. And I related a lot to your character, honestly.
So much.
So I really dug her character, and I dug Eden's character, Cheddar, as well. I think I was kind of like a combination of you two growing up. I was definitely not your typical, young teenage girl. I think that people kind of thought I should be more girly, I guess you could say, but I was who I was, and I loved that your characters were written that way, and that you guys did such a great job portraying those characters. You guys were fantastic. So I guess swinging around to Eden, what was your most challenging scene to film?
Thank you so much. There's this one scene inside the pastor's house, and we're running, and Silas is grabbing at us with foam, like black little arm things, and it was easy, but it was supposed to be hard, which made it super hard. It was like nothing I've ever done before, and then right after that is a really important scene for Cheddar. I don't know how much I should say. I mean, the movie's out, Silas.
Say what you want to say, man. I mean, they're gonna watch it.
Okay. Well, the last scene with Cheddar is, we really wanted to make that a special moment, because up till then Cheddar's all jokes and laughs, but that's the one scene where you see her vulnerability, and so I hope I showed that, but it was really difficult.
You did. I thought, like I said, I related to your character so much, and you guys were such a great, and I agree with what Ken said earlier. The chemistry was there between all three of you. It was like you guys had been friends for a long time, and I could just see you guys being really tight in real life. I could just see that there. So you guys were, and so I completely said it really translated on screen, and it really made you care about the characters. So you wanted to see them. You didn't want to see anything bad happen. And I don't want to ruin anything because I don't think I'm ruining too much, because I'm not saying exactly what happens. But you didn't want to see anything bad happen. And I think in horror movies and stuff, sometimes, especially like in 80s slashers, you've got these characters that maybe don't make the best decisions. And you're like, oh, okay, well, this person dies. Well, But I mean, overall, you guys were excellent, and we didn't want to see anything bad happen. And so I really loved it. Oh, so okay, swinging over to Morgan before I start rambling. What was your most difficult scene to film?
Yeah, so Silas touched a bit on just the coldness of the night scenes that we filmed, and there was a particular one that was difficult for me, and this is sort of like this that scene where we're fleeing the pastor's house, and Jessica and I are like, okay, we resolve, we're gonna go and we're gonna fight this demon, right? And it's kind of Sam, it's kind of his like climactic point as a character. And so there was already that stress, and then on top of that, I'm like freezing my ass off, and it's also my 16th birthday that night, and I was breaking a fever the entire night.
Oh, wow.
I was seriously like super duper sick. Like every time cut was yelled, I ran offset, and like I was just chugging like tea and like all this stuff, just so I can like appear normal and healthy on screen while I'm like doing this incredibly stressful and like very meaningful scene. And I was super happy when I saw the final cut to see that it doesn't look like I am like dying while I'm filming this, but that was a particularly stressful night, and physically challenging for me as well.
I bet. Oh my goodness. I know what it's like to be out in the wintertime sick. It's awful. And I can't even imagine, trying to film a movie at that time. But I loved, again, I loved your chemistry with Jessica's character. I thought you guys were great. And I was like, there was a scene where, Jessica's approached by this kind of like cool guy at school. I'm like, no, don't let her get with him. No, not this guy. No. We know who she's supposed to be with. So I definitely was like rooting for you two throughout the movie. You guys were great. So I'm going to swing back to Silas for a second. Okay, I have to ask this. There are two police officers in this film named Jason Muse and Kevin Smith. So you have got to tell me the story behind these police officers' names.
Well, no.
I mean, I think we might know the story, but I just want to hear it from you.
Well, there's a lot of nods into in this film, like there's Evil Dead references, Poltergeist references, like just the tons of little Easter eggs that I was just throwing in there all over the place. That was a more blatant nod, I guess. I was like, yeah, let's just put their actual names on the name tags and just because Bri, he was like when we were writing, I'm like, yeah, just put the names in. He's like, wasn't that like a little obvious? I'm like, well, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. But it was like I listen to tons of podcasts, and one of which is Kevin Smith's and also Kevin Smith and Jason Muse, and so it's he's always he was always advocating for go out there and do it. If you listen to his show, he's always like, yeah, you just go out there and create and do stuff and you can do it, just whatever, like just go out there and put it into the world and good things will happen. And so that was a little driving force between finishing the script or the very, very first version of the script before Bri got his hands on it, and then we teamed up to co-write it. I wrote the original draft that was like just a bunch of pile of notes and in like single space word format, like not in script format at all. And I was trying to pull positivity, I guess, positive vibes from wherever I could, and that was one of the places I found, some that little fire underneath me was that show. So that was my little nod to that, and indie filmmakers and whatnot. So.
Well, I tell you what, I loved, I definitely caught quite a few of the Easter eggs in there, and I loved every one of them. I was like, oh, wait a minute. So I definitely thought that was really cool that you kind of blended all of that in there. It was fantastic. So there was we noticed the symbol there that marks to Jessica and then one of the earlier characters in the beginning of the film. So what was we know the meaning in the movie, but where did you get the idea for the design of that symbol? And is that something you made up or was that something you actually found?
No, it was we were just looking for some kind of like Blair Witchy, Blair Witch kind of V for Vendetta. Like we were just looking at all these different symbols, mixing them around and just kind of have something fun with it, and then looking at Zodiac and looking at all these other ones. I love the movie Zodiac for it's one of David Fincher's like one of my favorite directors. So just messing around with it. And Bri is the one that researched the Sanguine Demon. Sanguine Demon is like the Latin for like blood demon.
Okay.
So he was going into depth on that and he did a lot of research for that. And so we would come back to the table and be like, what'd you find? I'm like, well, I have this. And I'm like, he's like, what do you got? I'm like, well, I was like doodling some stuff and here's a symbol, so we would just join forces and have that creative space to like, I guess, throw things at the wall and see if it was sticking.
Gotcha. Well, I'll tell you what, it worked. And I'm like, Ken, I could sit here and talk to you guys all night. I have like 20 questions. So before I ask all of them, I'm going to pass it on to HorrO or Omar and Dexter over there.
Hey guys, congratulations on the movie. Terrific. I saw this a while back when it came out for Fright Fest. I congratulate you for that, and that's a big step as it is. So Silas, I'll start with you, and kind of your response to that. What was it like? This is your first major movie, and you actually made Fright Fest, which is one of the biggest festivals for horror.
Um, that's pretty rad. I mean, to do something that feels like you're just having funs with your friend, yeah, having fun with your having funs. We're having funs with our friends, like creating new terms right now. No, it was just we were just all having fun on set and making this cool movie with really ambitious artists and creatives. Having an amazing cinematographer and the grip and gaff team and everyone that just poured their souls into this thing. Everyone put every ounce of them into this film. So it was to have a feature, like to create a feature and have it actually go out into the world and live on and hang out with other awesome, cool things. I'm rambling now, but it was really, it's obviously it was a dream come true to from creation to now when you can like hold a Blu-ray and hold a DVD or go on Amazon or wherever you want to find it. It's like it's really cool to see that come true and to see that end product.
And speaking of creation, is it true that this was first supposed to be a short film, or was actually a short film and then made its way to feature?
Oh no, yeah, it was a short, totally. What was it like? Really short trailer. It wasn't even a short. It was like actually a trailer. So I made a concept trailer for a movie that did not exist. I just was like, oh, let's just take some cool parts and in a horror film and put it together and send it to a festival. And it was like my first festival that I ever submitted anything because I was, like little bit of like ADD and stuff like that. So like I have focus issues, and so I'm always like I have so many irons in the fire. So meeting my fiance, she was like, just pick one. Either you do because I was gonna do a music thing and do this band and do an album, like do this or go do movies. And I was like, I'll just go do movies. So I went this way, and I put all my effort, and we did a short film, it was a short film. It was a trailer, and we submitted to Bleedingham, which is in Bellingham, and it won like third scariest film or something, I think. And it it was received really well though, and everyone was like, "What was that? Like, is this movie exist? Like, what is this?" I'm like, "Oh no, it doesn't exist. It's just a trailer." And then people were asking if I was gonna make it, and then I started my gears was going in my head. I was like, I should probably make this. Sounds like a good idea. And so I just started writing every night after work. I was working for Coca-Cola for almost a decade before that, just warehouse work, really non-fulfilling artistic life there, and doing a lot of warehouse stuff. And I was just creatively getting like I just needed to do what I wanted to do, and so so I wrote that the first draft. It took me about 3 months after that short film festival that we had it in.
So I'm just curious about how long since the time you actually wrote that draft to the end of filming. I mean, how long did it take to complete everything?
I don't know, guys. Do you know? I don't know. Was it like 3 years? 4 years?
Well, I know I was hired in 2017.
I think
and
I
then
was
finished
2016 then. 2016 then, M?
That sounds right.
I think it was 2016, I want to say, was the short in that short film festival.
Wow, that's amazing. That's a lot of dedication. That's a good chunk of years of putting together a project. But I hear from a lot of filmmakers, and they go through the same thing. It can take a long time to bring a film to life, especially when you're not sure, where you're starting and where you're ending.
Yeah.
With that, I'm gonna start with the cast and kind of ask you a similar question. Speaking of starting and ending, This is for most of you your biggest role to date, and your major role. So I'm kind of curious, and Mary Madeline, you can start off. Um, how did you prepare for this role? And once you kind of read the script and knew a little bit about your character, what did you do anything specific? And I'm just kind of curious if you guys kind of look back at any of the maybe older movies, 80s movies, where we kind of talked about, having a young cast and kind of maybe played on any of that.
Well, what I did to prepare for Jessica was I took every scene and I broke it down and I asked myself questions like, what does Jessica want in this scene? Who is she talking to? What is her relationship with the person she's talking to? And I just went and did that, and I created little relationships with characters, and I really figured out her motivation in every scene. And I researched the time, and it was really helpful for me because my mom was actually 13 in 1979. So when I'm like, what's a banana seat bike? And she's just looks up pictures like, this is what we rode on. We're so cool. And I'm like, nice. And I definitely did watch some older movies. I really enjoyed Halloween. So that's got to be one of the favorite ones that I watched.
Can I just jump in just real quick because it kind of has something to do with it? Talk about the music for a second, because I wanted to ask about that, because this is music that I listen to, and I can't imagine that you guys probably listen to this now. I don't know, but we just kind of touch base on the music a little bit because it was awesome. Soundtrack was great.
Yeah, MD or I don't. We can all jump. Let's all jump in. The music was a challenge to find, but B, I agree with you, is extremely important to set the mood. Even the score, having our composer Carlos Garcia, we needed the best. We needed the best score that we could get, and Carlos was amazing and one of the best in our entire Pacific Northwest area, and he created something very beautiful. And then the soundtrack, as in bands, we reached out to we Brian and I found these bands just off Spotify and randomly going, this sounds cool. How big are they? Can we get them on a phone call or something? It was something like that. So, and we ended up becoming friends with most of these bands, and even did a music video for the Smoky Brights later, which they have 5 songs in our film, and they ended up doing the rendition of Everything I Own. Or yeah, right, isn't that? Yeah.
Yeah.
At the very end, by Bread, they did the cover, which that was the challenge because we had Eminem's mom had to call Sony and get all that junk going and get the rights for the cover and find the last remaining member of Bread and talk to them, and it was a challenge, but sorry, I'm hogging it. Go for it, guys. What do you think?
Personally, and I really liked the kind of music back then. I still listen to 70s, 80s rock, and I really like Billy Joel and Elton John. Those are some of my favorite artists. But I really one of the things that stood out to me once I watched the finished product of They Reach was the soundtrack, because it really sounded like something from the 70s.
Awesome.
Yep. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
We wanted real quick. We did want it to not sound like synthesizer kind of. We wanted it to John Williams. We wanted to go. E.T. We wanted to go a little bit of that time when I was growing up on films like that. We didn't want to go Stranger Things. I think we were getting when we were making it, people were referencing Stranger Things a lot, and I was like, well, that I love Stranger Things, don't get me wrong, but I am not as big as into the synthesizer music. I was more into the actual strings and orchestra and old school stuff like that, and so that's where I really wanted to. I think that's where our movie is a little bit sets itself apart a little bit with our score.
Awesome. Eden, if you want to jump in and kind of discuss how you prepared for the movie.
Yeah, well, Cheddar is very herself. She's weird, she's crazy, but she does whatever she wants. She is who she wants to be, and that is so powerful. And I haven't watched a lot of movies with a female my age with that sort of confidence and with that sort of that character. So I watched plenty of movies, but I couldn't really draw from the outside. I had to draw from more like my life, how I act, how do I act around my friends when I'm like high on laughter and just like bouncing off of each other and just going crazy. Um, and I remember there's this one scene where I was supposed to be jamming out on the guitar, and I don't think it didn't make it in. That's okay, but that was my audition scene, and I was like, Mom, how do I do this? And I'm crazy enough on my own, but my brother plays guitar, and so we just had a jam session, and then I went into the audition, and I just had a jam session. It was just me in the room. Eminem was there, but for that moment, it was just me jamming out. And so that's how I prepared. I just kind of got more comfortable with myself, with who I want to be, and I channeled self-confidence and self-acceptance into Cheddar.
That's awesome, awesome, and turned out to be an excellent character. Morgan, how about yourself?
So compared to these two, my like preparation for playing Sam is like totally lacking. I did not like study many films in this from the time period, like I'd seen a couple growing up. My parents did a good job, I think. But I come from a long theater background. Like this was my first like breakout role into film. And so I have, that discipline to like read through a script and break it down and like look through all that. And so I did all of that. And then I got sent in a brand new script, and I did all of that. And I got sent a brand new script. And this happens about 8 times over. And I also, I'm really enthusiastic about improv, and I really love that sort of training. And I think that kind of worked off Silas's directing style as well, because I like, before we would go in, we'd get like, okay, here's the scene we're shooting. Here, like, here's all the shots we want to film, or at least, this is like our goal for today. And I'd do all the work on that, and then I'd show up to set, and I'd kind of throw all that away. It would still be in the back of my head, but I'm like, let's just see what else happens too. So I did a similar thing as that Eden did to tap into Cheddar with Sam. I kind of said, like, what would, like, I have all this prep, but what would Sam do in this moment? What, where would he go? What would he say and all that? And I really, really appreciated how, like, whenever I would show up on set, maybe I'd have an idea, and so I was like, yeah, let's try that. But like, what do you want to do? Yeah, you have the script, but what do you want to do? And that it really, really worked well. And I think it was translated very well into the final product.
Silas
So
is a
fun.
really good actor's director.
It was fun. I was like, they're like, oh, we're ready to work. We got all the script. I'm like, yeah, throw it out. Here we go. No, no, it was fun. We had a really good time.
Well, welcome to acting. To a little bit of an expansion of that question, but and I guess we'll start with Morgan and work back the other direction. To make a good young cast work, you got to come together and so forth. So I wanted to kind of know how quickly you felt, or each of you felt, that you felt that bond with your other 2 castmates, and did it kind of happen right away, maybe after a few scenes, or what was that like, coming from your point of view?
Oh, I can't stand these people at all. No, it was honestly, we clicked so well so early. Like, we started before Eden was even cast. We had we filmed like this sort of it was just a short, really. It wasn't even actually going to be in the movie. And I was actually originally cast in Cheddar's role, but then it all kind of like rolled up. And I mean, when Eden was cast, we all like definitely clicked very well. And I'm really, really happy that the changes to the script were made, because Eden plays the role of Cheddar better than I could have ever played the original role, who was named James. It was in actually a very different script. But it was very easy actually. And I think that's just because we all, I mean, actors all kind of share a sort of creed there where it's like, let's get together and make this awesome creative product. And it was seriously, it was like, I don't even really remember like a turning point when we all like got this on-screen chemistry. It was like we were thrown into this first control scene or control room scene in the middle of December, the one that Silas is talking about, where he couldn't get our like breath edited out because it was so cold. And that was actually the scene that I auditioned with. Yeah, it was we all just came together and jumped into our characters who had clearly been friends forever, and it was like we had been friends forever too. So it really worked very well.
And how about yourself, Eden?
Oh my god. Well, whatever you see on scene, that just rolls right into when we say cut. It's not like a on and off sort of thing. It's just like Mary Madeline and I are annoying Morgan, and then Silas's action, and then we're annoying him in the scene, and then Silas says cut, and then we're all destroying the set, and then we get in trouble together. It was great. It was like we were the three little kids running around set. Everyone, it was like a dream come true. I can't explain it any other way.
And what was great about that was everyone still treated us really respectfully and professionally, but they still like let us be kids and everything.
Yeah, totally.
That's awesome. And Mary Madeline, how about yourself as far as coming together with your other two castmates?
I agree with Morgan and Eden. Like Eden and I definitely teased Morgan and kind of annoyed him sometimes, but it was all in good fun. And when we had gathered that day for our first day of shooting, we were supposed to have that scene takes place in like the last 2/3 of the film. So we already had gone through all this major like trauma and everything, but we just came together right away, and it was like, oh hey, I'm meeting you for like the first or second time. Let's make a movie. Let's do this. And it was just instantaneous. It was pretty fun.
Awesome. That's awesome to hear that how you guys bond so quickly like that. And again, I thank you for your guys' time. Fabulous job on the movie. And I'm going to pass it off to Chris because I know he's got some great questions for you.
You know, usually when you go last, all the questions have been taken. So I always ask something like, what's your definition of love? But they didn't take my questions today. So we don't have to bother ourselves with anyone's definition of love. Mary Madeline, we sort of glossed over something you brought up when you first came on, how you prepared for the role, how you took each scene. It's easy to forget that the horror story for Jessica begins just prior to the movie. When we first see you, you've been through an awful event, something that no adolescent should ever have to go through. You're scared, you feel alone, you feel vulnerable, you don't know what's going to happen next. And that's when we first meet you. And you had that look on your face. And I don't want to get too personal, but you know, how do you prepare for that? Was that just thinking about sad things? Did Silas coach you through it? Or are you just a very empathetic person?
Well, it so happens that Stephen Daniels was played by my real life brother, Philip. And he's also an athlete, and we have a very close relationship. And I just was imagining like life without him, like Jessica was. And it brought me down, I guess. And I guess it surfaced, I suppose.
Yeah. Absolutely terrific. A wonderful job. Silas, I'll go to you next. I'm just going left to right on my screen. If you tell somebody about this movie, describe it to them, it's very easy to lose them because on one hand, you're talking about very witty, comical adolescence, sort of a coming of age film. They might start thinking of some of those type films, and they talk about bloody horror, paralleled this. You merged them together really well. It would have been easy to just file up and make it just a story you couldn't connect to, but it worked very, very well. I don't know if you just did it naturally or if working with Eden Morgan and Mary Madeline just sort of lent itself to it. But was that a goal all along? Was to have your three protagonists is witty, humorous, or did you just look at these three actors and actresses and figure, I got it, that's the direction we're going to?
Thank you for the very kind words. First of all, it was a very hard thing to balance for sure. I definitely have to give a lot of credit to co-writer Bri Troyer. The original draft that I wrote before any of the actors even saw it was a very, very dark, creepy, hard R movie. And it was very, very creepy. It slowly morphed into what I was trying to convey, which was more of an adventure of sorts of more like Goonies, like we previously mentioned. But Bri, we sat down and we were like, okay, before we do this page one rewrite together, we threw on the table everything we really wanted to showcase, I guess. And one of them was the adventure element that I think that was missing in the very first draft, was the camaraderie and the friendship, and not so much the horror. There was horror already in there, but it was missing some pretty key elements. And he's like, well, if we want to do that, why don't we just take it in this direction, and we could try to ride that fine line. And so we started writing away, and out came the second draft, or probably like the third or fourth, really realistically, but came a draft that was more along the lines of what you saw in the feature, of like more friendships, adventure, and kids working together, like Nancy Drew, Hardy Boy type of thing, and like it's clue finding mystery stuff, a little bit for a younger audience. So I'm pretty happy of where it landed, and I guess tone wise. Other people have said some things that it's a little mixed genres and not show horror, or is it horror, is it comedy? But I love the films that do. I love films that do like Shaun of the Dead or something, or like dark comedy horror, or just quirky stuff. I'm there's not really, to me, horror is just the more of just the overall broad term, but there's also like the subgenres within horror, and there's comedy, there's even romantic horror, there's all sorts of different types of horror films, psychological thrillers and crazy ones, but that's a totally different subject. But I was happy to find a nice little cozy spot for our film in this kind of quirky, like, adventure or thriller thing, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Oh, terrific. Eden, you're next. When we first meet Eden, we're meeting you for the first time when you knock on the door with Morgan, and it's a very, very tender scene. You guys are uncomfortable. What Mary Madeline, what Jessica's just been through, you can't even comprehend. You're probably scared. Is this going to change our friendship? Is Jessica going to be okay? When you're first knocking at that door, there's a lot of unknown. There's probably a lot of fear on your part. You don't know who's going to open the door. It's going to be Jessica. But it's a very tender scene. You give her some gifts, and then all of a sudden, the three of you are a team again. I'm a big sports fan, and I saw you, Eden, as far as this team goes, this trio, is the quarterback. When Jessica wanders off, you're right there behind her, watching her, knowing that she probably needs a little bit more supervision than usual. You got the corn dogs ready to go. Nobody's going to be hungry when they're around you. Did you see yourself that way, or am I just weird? But I just saw this in this trio, saw you as the quarterback.
No, that's such an interesting thing because she kind of seems irresponsible, but yeah, you're right. She always has the food, she always has the flashlights, all the soda, and yeah, you're right. I think that being there for your friends is really important, and it's scary to be there for your friends because you don't know if they want you to be there or not, but it's always important to check in on people that you love. So I think that was a really important scene that happened so quickly, and that was yeah, and that's what makes Cheddar so vulnerable is because she loves her friends so much and she depends on them just as much as they depend on her, and I think that's just such a wonderful dynamic to have. And I guess I never thought of her as a quarterback, but I can see all of us carrying the friend group in some way.
I'm weird that way. I see things nobody else sees. Kind of like the sixth sense, I think. But thank you. That's terrific. Uh, Morgan, I got to tell you, and I'm a lot older than everybody here. In fact, in 1979, I would have been in your class. So I remember 1979 well. I remember the Pirates winning the World Series, not being happy about it, but life's that way. But you kind of fascinate me, Morgan, because I have two kids. One of them just graduated with a theater degree. And I understand you're just going into college, I think Lewis and Clark. Are you majoring in theater? Do you have ambition to do it at this university?
So I'm not currently majoring in theater. Last semester I did, I was in a theater class, which was wonderful. It's actually, even despite the pandemic, it was in person, which was very awesome, very refreshing. I'm currently not in a theater class, but I am looking to continue taking them. I am not majoring in it. No, I am considering minoring in theater, but it is, I'm never going to be able to give up theater. It's just so much of who I am. But yeah, I'm hoping, once things start opening up some more, to do a little more auditions and get back into acting. It's been pretty quiet since they reached, but yeah, I don't know. It's just such a huge part of who I am, and it's a big old love for me, but no, it's not a major right now.
Hey, no problem. Like I said, maybe you've already majored in theater and you could teach them something. But well done. And I got to tell you, Morgan, I didn't have anything like this until I was about 44 years old. But your Burt Lancaster, Deborah Kerr moment, and you're going to have to Google that probably, I was just so happy for you. Uh, you know, uh, Having that moment in this film, you don't have to explain anything. You got cred and good job. And uh, you can thank Silas and the writer for putting that in. You'll be forever indebted to them. But nice job all around. And the three of you, I really, really hope we see you again soon. Oh, four of you, Silas, you too as well. And I know Ken's probably going to ask you in just a moment about your future projects. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Oh, shoot, I thought it was.
So listen, Chris is right. This is the time where we like to say our goodbyes and our thank yous. You guys did a fabulous job. The chemistry on the film was just awesome. Silas, you did such a wonderful job writing the film, directing the film, and bringing this crew together and brought the film to life. So anyway, we'd like to know about what you guys are doing next. What pots are cooking. Morgan, let's start with you. What are you working on? Wait, actually, before we start, and when you answer, can you also just give us, where can we find you guys on social media as well? Go ahead, Morgan.
Yeah, well, like I was saying, I'm very invested in college right now. I'm looking at double majoring in anthropology and psychology right now. So that's taken up a lot of my time. But as things start opening up more, I will be looking for more auditions and all that. Right at the tail end of filming for They Reach, I was cast in a short film called Silence, which you can find somewhere. I'm being bad for not knowing exactly where you can find it, but that one's also quite a traumatic film, as it's sort of relating to real world trauma. But yeah, I don't know. You can find me on Instagram, Morgan Zola Cheese, which I've not the most professional tag, but I like it. So, but yeah, I'm not super acting anywhere right now, but looking forward to seeing what else is out there for me.
Well, listen, man, we wish you nothing but luck, and college is no joke. So do that first. Do your thing, man. Let's go over to Cheddar real quick and find out what's going on with her.
Yeah, well, auditions just started ramping up like crazy. I've done quite a few in the past few weeks, but I'm keeping my eye on school. That's always super important to me and my family. But Fear Street is coming out this summer. They're calling it the Summer of Fear, and that'll be out on Netflix. I'll be in the second one, so I'm very excited about that. And my Instagram is Eden.Campbell with 3 L's because someone took the normal one. All right.
Damn them. All right, Mary Madeline, how about you? What's going on with you?
Well, for my high school, hopefully we're going to have a softball season soon. So I'm really looking forward to that. And auditions, like Eden, are just starting to roll in because COVID restrictions are falling back. So Hollywood is deciding they can start making things now. So I'm just going to be out there auditioning, hustling to get roles, and following my passion for acting. And I'm on Instagram, and it's just my name, Mary Madeline Rowe.
Excellent. And Silas, what about you, man? What do you got going on? And can you just drop where we can find the film, where our listeners can find the film as well?
Yeah. Let's see. Eminem, do you want to, just in case if I forget one of the lists on the list, do you want to just start compiling them right now?
We're on Amazon. You can rent They Reach and buy They Reach on Amazon. Also order the DVD, and the Blu-ray has a bunch of special features. So I think that's pretty cool. And then I think Best Buy and Walmart.
Yeah, I think online, Best Buy, Walmart, and I know I'm forgetting some. I should have had this list written out. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm just trying to think of. Is there any other ones? I think that's.
It's gonna be, they could put it into the Googles. They could put it into the Googles and type it in there, and they'll find it.
It'll be. I think you ran on iTunes or something, and stuff like that. Xfinity. There you go. Xfinity. That's a large one. Let's see. What do I have coming up? Oh boy. I'll try to keep it short and sweet. Just working on 2 scripts right now, and one is dark comedy sci-fi, and the other is more thriller action kind of one. And I am doing work for a esports company, and doing commercials and advertisements, and directing, and I'm the senior editor there. So that's what I do during the day, and then at night I'm an indie filmmaker. Yeah, just keeping busy. I guess just trying to utilize all this time that we have, during this, during COVID and stuff, to flesh out these scripts and make sure we don't have to have 19 versions of them, So, trying to do that with co-writer Bride Troyer, and move forward with our next fun adventure.
Excellent. Well, listen, Morgan, Eden, and Mary Madeline, Silas, thank you so much for hanging out with us on Where the Scary Things Are. Listeners, check out the film They Reach. As we said, you can find it on multiple providers. Just type it into the Googles if you're having a hard time. On behalf of Where the Scary Things Are, thank you so much, and keep it scary, my friends. Till next time.